Okay, can just see the chat. Okay, can see people from Bangalore. Tulsi is from Bangalore. You have Pooja from Punjab. Nikhila from Hyderabad. Ashmita from Varanasi. Okay, thank you all for joining in. You can see Ranjini from Coimbatore. Okay, so across the country. Uh, if you all would like to put down, any specific expectations you have from the session, that would be great as well. Okay, ideas. Lakshmi says that she's looking at ideas and motivation for continuing how to return back to work full time. Okay, thank you. Hi, Arpita. Okay. All right. So we'll get started then. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the session on time management and work-life balance. I'm Preeti Bhaskaran, lead corporate partnerships at Aspire for her. Uh, so today's topic, I'm sure, is relevant to each one of us here, especially in today's times and where everyone here is wanting to get back into the workforce after a career break, right? And why exactly is time management so critical and so important, for work-life balance? I'm sure, all of us know about the relevance and its criticality, but, when one manages their time well, right, it helps you become more focused, it helps you become more productive, and it takes away a lot of your stress levels. It helps you prioritize and also helps you work smarter, faster, and much more efficiently. And hence, effective time management skills, they can positively impact both your career as well as your personal life. And where, each one in the audience here is wanting to get back into the workforce after a career break, it's even more critical because a lot of us women, go through these guilt trips. How will I manage my work? Will my personal life get impacted? Will it affect my family? Will it affect, my children, the elders in my house, and a lot of other things? Uh, this particular session will kind of really help us in making that transition from back into the workforce more smoothly and more seamlessly. And that's why today we have an expert speaker, Aruna Kumaraswamy, who would be demystifying time management and work-life balance for all of us. And before we get started, I would also like to let each one of you know that, all of you must be knowing, but I'm going to still reiterate that we have an upcoming job fair in the month of September, a physical job fair which is going to be in Bangalore on the 9th of September, and virtual job fair on 14th and 15th of September. And the participating organizations are Capgemini, Zensar, NatWest, 24/7 AI, and Harvest Group. They would be offering the job opportunities. And if you have not already applied, please make sure you apply right away. We will be sharing the job application link in the chat box shortly. And in the physical job fair in Bangalore, whoever is based out of Bangalore, please make sure you come down. The event starts from 9:30 a.m. and goes up to almost 5:30 to 6. And what we have in the physical job fair is we are having a bunch of job readiness sessions. These include building confidence, LinkedIn profile building, overcoming imposter syndrome, as well as executive presence. We also have some flash mentoring sessions for you, and obviously each of you can, come there and network and interact with potential employers. So do not miss this opportunity. Please make sure that you come for the job fair. Irrespective of whether you get shortlisted or not, the job fair is for everybody. And also on 31st of August, we have another job readiness session coming up, which is on the Wheel of Life. It is in partnership with one of our corporate partners, the Arts Quotient. You would be receiving details shortly, so please make sure you tune into that session as well. And Before we move forward with the session, I would also like to invite Jaya Janardhanan. She's an advisor, technology and operations at Aspire for her. She's from our leadership team. I would like to invite Jaya to come in and say a few words to the audience, please.
Thank you, Preeti. And I think I would have not been more happy than having to come to this session with a bunch of Entu team over here who's ready to hear Aruna about what needs to be done to get in getting back to work. But let me tell you something, and I want to tell this to all the participants in this particular. And I saw some of the chats which are there. See, there is one thing you have to be very mindful about. One is, uh, y- you know, you can get little bit of flexibility when you come back to work because you have just joined, but that doesn't give you a lifelong flexibility of having that as a permanent feature, because as soon as you get into it, you're back into the race of the corporate. Time management is very critical, and I can say that even today I struggle with time management. And you have to manage time because you must have taken a break for managing some things at home, and you have to you need to kind of make sure that you balance well and don't get back to again saying that I can't manage, right? So the power and the courage that you have shown to get back to work and take these opportunities that have been put up in the job fair, I think it is phenomenal. You shouldn't be scared. You shouldn't be scared for asking. You should know how to skill yourself and be in par with the other colleagues in the organization. Because once you have that confidence, everything will work. I don't want to take too much of the time because I'm sure Aruna has a whole host of stuff to share with you. But let me tell you, the fact that you folks have actually signed up for the session shows your interest and your determination to come back to work. And I'm sure all of you will land up in some job or the other. Okay, I'm sure about that. So, Preeti, I won't I want to give Aruna all the time to take the session as well as them to ask the questions. So my good luck to all of you, and I'm sure each of you will land up in some job in the job fair that is happening. Good luck and bye. See you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jaya, for joining in and giving some words of wisdom to the audience. Thank you. And moving on, we have a couple of poll questions coming up just to understand the audience a little better. So requesting everybody to participate and requesting Farisha to launch poll one, please. So we're just wanting to know, which stage of the job application process you are currently in, whether you have already applied, whether you're yet to apply, whether you are a student and hence you're not eligible to apply yet, or you have already received an offer and you're going to be getting back into the workforce really, really soon. And the second question is, what is your biggest fear as you return to the workforce or you're looking to return to the workforce? Is it acceptance at the workplace? Is it meeting expectations at work? Your concerns about how you're going to take care of your child, your elders, your home, or is it fear of failure? So requesting everybody to participate. Okay. A lot of you are talking about, the biggest fear being meeting expectations at work. Okay. And I can see that a lot of you have already applied. So that's a great place to be in. So you have made that first step. So thank you. We'll keep it open for a few more seconds so that everybody can participate. Please don't have any inhibitions. Please go ahead and participate in the poll. This would help us also structure the session accordingly. Okay, so I think Farisha, we can close the poll. Okay, thank you, everybody. Sorry. Yeah.
No, poll is closed.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Varisha. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And moving on, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you all to our expert speaker for today, Aruna Kumaraswamy. Aruna Kumaraswamy is an experienced chartered accountant with nearly 21 years of experience in the profession and is currently a partner at SR Bartley Boy. Having risen up the rungs as a young professional, she has chartered her own path purely basis grit and self-confidence by navigating hurdles of new roles, shifting locations due to personal milestones, and constantly evolving personal priorities. She is a strong advocate of equity and actively promotes women to rise in their careers and fulfill their professional aspirations along with personal goals. She is an active speaker on technical matters around accounting, topics around digitalization, diversity, and leadership traits and values. Aruna is also passionate about fitness, travel, new technologies, and believes in positivity in life. A warm welcome to you, Aruna. I'm sure everybody in the audience is really looking forward to this session since it's such a relevant topic in today's times, as well as because of the situation that each one in the audience is, because everybody is wanting to get back into the workforce, and hence this topic is extremely critical. So I'll, without further ado, over to you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Preeti. Thank you for having me over here, and it's really lovely to see so many of you having logged in. For the session, it actually shows your commitment towards coming back to work, right? And the fact that you're willing to put in that extra effort in trying to learn new concepts, understand new aspects as you chart this journey of yours. So, thanks a lot. And first of all, let me start by congratulating all of you. I think every journey begins by starting up somewhere. And I think all of you have started this journey of yours to get back to work. Each one of us go through various aspects in our life or where of, there's always something that comes up. It never goes as per plan. So there could be your personal milestones, it could be marriage, it could be caregiving, it could be your child who needs more care, when breaks post maternity. I think it could be or your own fitness, your own health. I think the reasons can be vast and various, and but all of us more or less sail in the same boat when it comes to time management, when it comes to work-life balance, when it comes to kind of alluding our inhibition, saying, okay, what will happen if I go back to work? All these fears that we have, maybe many of them are unfounded, but we will try and see how, to the best of our ability, we can tackle some of these. It was also good to see. It was also good to see how much how you were all looking at your return to work and the poll that we had in terms of your biggest fear. And all of you, most of you, at least 50% of you, have said it's basically whether you'll be able to meet the expectations at work, considering you've had a break and maybe some a short break, some a longer break. So we will deal with that as we go along in the session and maybe answer specific questions towards it at the end. And I've seen some questions in the chat, so I will try and address it as we go along as well. So feel free to write down your questions. We can address them as we take and as we go through the session, or maybe at the end of it, we take the questions. And just don't think twice about asking a question. I think that's very critical because, today we are all here just to learn from one another, make sure that we are well equipped as we get back to this new milestone of getting back to work. Right. So Preeti, I'll just share my presentation. Let me know once you can see it.
Yeah, I'm able to see it.
Just 1 second. Sorry. Just 1 minute. Give me a minute. I'm just going to share the PPT. It's going to be a little better. You can see the slides?
Yes.
So all of us have always been wondering about work-life balance, right? And let's sit back and think as to why we're all always talking about time management, work-life balance. And if I look back at my journey, right at the early days, when I started to work, in fact, even when I was studying, whenever I used to speak about aspirations at work, I mean, there were always several people who often used to say that, don't focus so much on work. Your first priority is home. Who will take care? How will you manage everything together? Is it even possible? It's not possible for a woman to go out, work, and manage everything that she needs to do, right? So this is something that we've grown up hearing at various quarters. Today, thankfully, the world is a lot different. It is at least changing, though we have a long way to go. But with platforms like these at Aspire Power, etc., giving us these opportunities, maybe the amount of noise that we hear in terms of being able to manage is slightly reduced, but it's still there, right? Most of our family members. I know whenever I go for family functions, one of the questions that often gets asked is, do you even get time to spend at home? How do you manage? Do you communicate over WhatsApp with your family? So very funny questions, but these are questions that keep coming up to you, irrespective of, how many years you are in the profession. So I mean, this is something that is a mental conditioning to say that, okay, there is always supposed to be a balance, right? You have to focus on something, but at the same time, once you start working, you may not be able to focus as much on your personal life, and hence that's a question in terms of, how do you manage, right? Can you really manage? But if you really sit back and think, what is work-life balance, right? For each one of us at our various stages of our life, work-life balance is going to be very different, right? There is no set definition for work-life balance. It's the most often used term, but if you go back and look for definitions, it will just simply say that, it is being able to balance your work and personal priorities. But for each one of us, if you sit back and think, the work-life balance definition is going to be different, right? So for example, if you are in your in your, say you have taken a break for maternity, you have a toddler at home, maybe your work-life balance is going to be able to come back, do your work, come back and spend the quality time with your little kid, or making sure the nutrition is taken care of, making sure that you are there for each of their initial milestones. If you have a school-going child, it could be more about making sure that you are attending the school meetings, you're there for their annual projects, during exams, you have sufficient time to spend for them. If you have taken a break for like the shifting of locations, or for taking care of somebody at home, you want to make sure that you were there for your loved ones when you need. And today, in today's world, a lot of us, I mean, the Gen Z population, a lot of them come and say that I want to take a break because I want to do X, Y, Z things. I want to travel. I want to focus on my health. I want to focus on fitness. I want to focus on my other hobbies. So all of these, to having time to focus on other hobbies, all of those could be work-life balance, right? So at each stage of our life, depending upon what we want to do, work-life balance can be different. And before we start addressing something, I think it's very important. I've always believed it's very important to define the problem or define the question on hand, right? So I would want all of you to spend a minute and think, put down 3 top priorities that you would want to focus on even while you get back to work, right? So once you got back to work, what are those 3 things that are the top priorities for you that shouldn't get compromised? Those are, non-negotiable ones. Whereas the other ones could be, good to have, but first of all, focus on the top 3 priorities. We'll come back to it when we do our Q&A session. And we'll be happy to listen to some of your thoughts in terms of what your top priorities are. But first do that in terms of define what is work-life balance for you individually, right? And let me tell you, this entire work-life balance, and I've seen this in the last 20 years, is that it's really a myth, right? You cannot say that, okay, I'm going to spend 6 hours at work, and I mean 8 hours at work, and then I'll come back and just to, focus on family. It really doesn't work that way, right? There may be days when you may carry some amount of your projects back home. There may be days when your child is not well, there's something to be taken care at home, and hence you will mentally be at off. I mean, you'll be physically at office, but mentally you may, kind of have your thoughts lingering back at home. So it's never going to be an exact balance, right? Both the scales are never going to be at the exact position. They're never going to be same. At one day, one scale would be higher, the other scale, other day, the other scale would be higher. I mean, this is going to keep going on. So please be prepared as you get back to work to integrate your work and life, right? So there may be times maybe at some point of work, you may have to attend to some personal priorities. There may be times when the evenings that you normally spend at home, you may have to work on a project. But that is very critical for you to keep an open mind to say, how do I integrate both? And trust me, I can tell you that it is possible to integrate both and to for both of them to coexist and for you to succeed in both these aspects, right? So that's going to be very, very critical. Remove the fear from your mind saying, okay, how will I manage? Take control back in your hands and say that as an individual, I have my time under my control. And as a first step, I am confident that I will be able to manage both my work priorities and my personal priorities. I think that confidence is first and foremost. And I think you should first take that into mind before you step forward, right? So now let's move ahead. So once you have decided, okay, what is that I want to focus on? Once I get back to work, what is that I want to focus? And how do I manage a lot of these top priorities that I put in, right? First of all, understand that time is something which is a finite resource, right? All of us have this 24 hours of work. We know we need minimum 6 to 8 hours of sleep. We have defined time to go to office. So time is going to be finite, right? You cannot extend time. And how much of a time you get, you will always think, okay, it is always better if you get an hour extra, right? It's never going to be, you're never going to be satisfied. But energy is something which is infinite, right? All of us have that energy in us. And a lot of times you may have days, when you might have traveled a lot, you would have gone to finish projects and gone elsewhere, but you never feel tired. Why? Because you love what you're doing. You're happy throughout the day, you're energetic, you're focused on what you're doing, and then you don't feel tired. But there are some days, even on Sunday, when you're lying, kind of taking rest, lying back, but you might still feel tired because you may not have done sufficiently enough on that day. Your mind has not been very engaged, right? So always think about how do you manage your energy. Forget time management, right? Manage your energy. And I think that's worked very well for me. And we can talk about it when we do our Q&A. But I think managing your energy rather than time is crucial. But as we go along doing it, there are some things that we should keep in mind and, we should specifically focus on. So first foremost is, tracking your time. All of us, if you really start putting down what all do you do in a day, these 24 hours, if you set aside your 6 to 8 hours of sleep, the remaining hours in the day, what is that you do? Once you get back to work or even today, put your, kind of jot it down in your notepad or on your calendar itself once you're at work. Say, how do you spend your time, right? And once you do that constantly for a week, you will realize you can actually see the trends. There may be various pockets of time where you will see, you will, kind of find it difficult to remember what did you do at that point of time, right? I mean, there would be nothing productive that would come out of the time. And these pockets of time is what you need to address to increase your availability of time to address larger priorities. So you may be finishing one project, you may be finishing something at home, addressing an email, then going back to work, then coming back, spending something, but put it all down for at least a week and see, and on Saturday, sit down and see the pattern. Wherever you had blocks of time where you couldn't remember, and do it like when you write down your time, please do it every afternoon and evening so that you recollect what you've done in the first half and the second half. Please put it down and then mark out in a highlighter what are those time slots that you couldn't use productively, right? And that will help you identify where you're losing time. Second, most important aspect, build a strong support system both at home as well as at workplace. We all believe in building a support system at home. We know we may have our parents to take care. We may have our house helps who may, extend that support that we need. But it's equally important to have allies at work, right? When you get back to work, it's important to build that network for yourself, for people whom you can trust. Of course, it will come over a period of time. It's not going to come immediately. You're going to take that time, maybe a couple of months to settle in and build your circle of trust that you need. But whenever you're getting late, you need some help on a project, you need something, there is always people who you can go and bank on. And do that for people otherwise also. So if somebody else is banking on you, be available to support them. So build that circle of trust, both at family and at workplace. I think that comes handy when you need the most. Right. Third most important thing is block distractions while working. Jaya made a very important point, which said once you get back to work, yes, for a few weeks, people will say, okay, she's getting back to work. Let's give her the flexibility. But see, ultimately, we are all there to work, right? The organization has certain goals. They need to address those projects. We are in a business. The business has to run. And therefore, it's very important that every person in the organization contributes towards it. So don't approach work by saying, okay, I have, I've just come back. How much flexibility do I have? While you can negotiate flexibility with your employer, but please be sure that when you are at work, focus on your work completely, right? So put your distractions to rest. I know there was a time when I realized that maybe I was spending maybe on LinkedIn, social media, those 5 minutes of break that you take in between work, but you never realize how much time you take. You keep scrolling, and today it's become so infectious, right? We keep scrolling one reel after the other, and suddenly you look at time, it's half an hour is gone, and we don't really know how we spend that half an hour. Please stop doing that. I mean, there are ways to do it. Like I have a timer set on my phone for social media. After 15 minutes, it gives me it automatically logs off, and it requires a password. And if you don't have as much self-control, then please put in a password, right? And make sure that you stick to that 15 minutes maximum in a day to it. Unless, of course, you are working on a social media presence, etc. And if your job is different, of course, then it's a different ballgame altogether. But if you're at work, please stop looking at social media for beyond a particular time. Similarly, we all have heard about multitasking, right? At all points of time, we've always kind of said, oh, how does she multitask so much? Or how does he multitask so much? He manages, maybe it's more always in the context of a woman, but we say, how does she manage everything? She does this project, that project. And trust me, I used to do that at the start of my career, right? And I was known for that, saying, okay, she multitasks, she can do this project. She also handles this in the afternoon. She handles this in the evening. But let me tell you, over a period of time, while it's important to be aware of your projects through the day, multitasking always doesn't help, because that's not how your brain functions. A brain is always tuned in to say you focus on a particular aspect, you finish that, then you go to the next one, you focus on that and you finish, and accordingly move ahead. Right? That is very important. Your brain is attuned or built in a manner which to do that, to focus, to build in that focus. So please avoid multitasking while you are at work or at home. Have your job set out, but please do one at a time, finish it, and then move to the other. Right? So for example, when you're at work and you're working on, say, a particular file or a project that you're working on, and I know some people keep having these email notifications coming up, right? So every time there's an email pop up, invariably you will see what it is, you'll get distracted. Again, there is a pop-up in 5 minutes, you look at. Please stop those pop-ups. Please put off notifications, right? Be it WhatsApp notifications, please put them off. Just focus on, looking at, okay, I'm doing this for next 1 hour. I'll do this for the next 1 hour, and then I'll take a break. Right? And trust me, when you focus, you will be able to get work done much faster than if you keep shifting from one screen to the other. Keep your email breaks. And I used to be a person who was constantly replying to emails, right, when I was at mid-level management. But then now what I've started doing is I keep specific time slots to check my emails and respond, and that's only when I do it. Right? I don't keep responding to phone calls or emails as I'm working, because at the end of the day, when I do that, I realize I haven't finished anything significantly enough. So please avoid multitasking. Focus on the job at hand, finish that, and then go to the rest. It will take some amount of practice. It doesn't come easily. It's very difficult to control your mind. And once you try and do that voluntarily, you'll realize mind will go in 10 different directions. Right? It's very difficult to focus. You ask it to focus, and that's when you will have 100 thoughts coming in your mind. But slowly stick to it, practice it, it will come over a period of time. More importantly, learn to say no, right? When I say learn to say no, please be clear about what you want to achieve, how much you can achieve. Be realistic about it, right? Don't take all projects, put it on your plate, and not being able to deliver on any of those. If you believe these are the 5 tasks that I can do while I get started in the first few months, please take up those, have discussions with your counselors, with your bosses, to say, okay, this is what I can achieve, right? And deliver on those without any quality mismatches, right? So make sure that you deliver a high quality job of whatever you pick up. However small the job is, whatever you pick up, you deliver that with highest quality. And I think that will build your brand, and that will build trust of people. And irrespective of the fact if you're doing, part-time, if you're doing full-time work, if you want to go back home at a particular time frame, please, people will place the trust on you. And that's most important as an employee. Your employer should be able to trust you, saying, okay, if I have given that project to her, I can sit back and relax because I know it's going to get delivered properly. And ask for help if you're getting stuck somewhere. I keep telling my teams, If you're stuck with a problem for more than 15 minutes, get up and ask somebody as to how you need to resolve it. Because if you cannot solve something in 15 minutes, or at least progressing towards solving it, that means staring at it for 1 hour is not going to help you, right? So you need help. So it's okay whatever people think about you. How does it matter, right? You're asking for help. Ultimately, you're going to do your project well. So stop thinking about what will people think. If I approach them, what is it they're going to think about me? They'll think I don't even know this. It's okay. Don't give so much of importance to these thoughts. Because one thing I can tell you, all of us are busy in our lives, right? And take your own example. You were busy in your life. Are you going to think about someone for more than 2 minutes? Answer is no, right? If somebody asks you for something and you still believe it's a very stupid question, are you going to spend more than 5 minutes thinking about it? Answer is no. And that applies to everyone, right? So don't get burdened with people's thoughts about you in terms of how will they look at you, how will they, kind of judge you if you're asking for help. I think none of it really happens and doesn't matter in the long run. So learn to say no. Sometimes when you go back to corporate life, one thing I've seen people struggle with is, there are these even networking dinners, there are these team build-ups. All of us get pressurized with it. Even today, a lot of days I get pressurized, whether I should go there, where should I go back home. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer to it, because both are equally important. Team building activities, if you build a good team, it's good because they are the ones who will help you at work. And if you have a happy team, you're going to be able to manage those projects better. And it's important to network for your further growth and things like that. So maintain a balance. But if you believe, there are days when you have to go back home, there are days when you're not feeling too good, there are days when you have guests at home, or your family needs attention, please feel free to step out and go to work. Go out of work and then go to say no to these networking events. People will understand, but at the same time, don't say no to every event, to every task that's given to you, because then people will stop coming to you, and it's for your own good that you need to pick it up. So maintain a balance there. Go for a few, don't go for the rest. At least people see you sometimes, and you build the right connections at work, and I think that's going to be critical. And the last but not the least is be present and be mindful, right? One thing that all of us will struggle with as we get back to work is that, when we are at work, we may be thinking about what's happening at home, right? And then you come back home, you want to be thinking about that project that didn't go well, that review with the boss that did not go as expected, that, or that customer who was not very happy, or something that you did well, or something which is still pending. So we're going to keep having these contradicting thoughts throughout. So I think what is important is that you be present and mindful, right? And practice meditation, practice mindfulness, all of that helps. When you're at work, focus on work, finish that. When you come back home, please focus on your home, except for, at least when you're talking to a child, talking to your family members, be present, right? Be very conscious about how you are engaging with them. Don't just simply say yes, no, while you're thinking something else in your mind. Practice that. So whenever you're spending time on whatever aspect, give your full to it, right? Be fully present at that moment and give your best to it. If you do that, everybody will realize that, okay, you're giving your best at work, then you're going back home, giving your best at home, and being focused for that at that point in time. I think that's what is going to help most importantly, right? So as I said, these are some techniques that I have kind of learned over a period of time, made mistakes, learned, and I'm still learning. Obviously, there is no, there is no remedy to time management. There is no perfect answer. And the answer keeps shifting every day. But I think these are some things that have helped us kind of manage our time and manage our energy, as I said, to do that. And we spoke a lot about deciding your priorities, right? A lot of times when in a day when we have a lot of things to do, we don't know which one to drop, which one to take. Correct. And that's when I normally use this model. While this is a Pomodoro technique, which is a well laid out technique in management, um, I keep telling myself and my teams as well, decide those tasks which are very urgent, right? So for example, if you don't do it, there will be a repercussion. So keep that in mind. Decide what are those tasks which are critical. Similarly, decide the ones that are important to do, but not critical. Maybe if I don't do it today, I can do it tomorrow, right? Hell's not going to break loose. It's not going to cause a very unhappy customer. It's not like, somebody at home is not going to get attended to. So those are tasks which are not very urgent, right? You can decide. Third most important aspect is please delegate things. You can be as competent as possible. Nobody doubts your competence, but please delegate whatever can be done by others. Please delegate it. You cannot achieve everything on this earth, right? Please put down a list of chores at home that can actually get delegated to your house help, to your family members. Build everybody as a team, right? Build a team of members both at home. As I mentioned, the circle of trust. Please build that circle of trust at home and outside, and delegate work to people as per their requirement. There will be things that you may not be able. There may be days when you have a very important project, there's a deadline, you will not be able to focus on at home, right? But that's okay. You have a backup who's going to work on your behalf. So don't get pressurized in mind for all of those. So whatever tasks are something that can be done by others, even if it means shelling out a few extra bucks to your maid, please do that and get those delegated. It may not be as perfect as you do it. It may not come with as much love as you do for your family, but that's okay. There are always certain compromises to make, and that's perfectly okay. And everybody in the family should be okay with it. Similarly, at office, don't try to overprove yourself, right? We'll talk about addressing expectations when you go to Q&A or meeting the expectations. But, one thing is you can't, don't try to do everything yourself. Oh, I've joined work. I want to prove myself. I will take up 10 things and I want to do everything. Please don't do that. You are setting yourself up for failure once you do it. Whatever is your role, please do that. If there are things like meetings to be set up, give it to your junior team members who are going to be there. Or if you have certain tasks that somebody else is doing well, let them do it. You focus on things that you want to do well, right? And some unimportant things like social media, etc. If you are busy in a day, please delete them. You don't have to do it that particular day. So when you set your priorities that we spoke about initially, and those priorities will change every day and every week for that matter, please decide what is that you can always delegate. Please decide basis your week's schedule, what is that you want to keep as priority, the most urgent tasks, the next level of things that you want to do, and then the rest you will delegate or don't do, right? That's what is important. What is that only you can do? Focus on that. And please first do only those aspects. Whatever somebody else can do, please delegate. It may be difficult at first, but over a period of time, it will be okay. You will find your ways to do it. And last but not the least, realign your priorities, right? We spoke about certain things in the past, so I'm not going to dwell so much. But first, get your mental focus. Be focused on what you're doing. And see the big picture, right? It is going to happen that once you go back to work, the first 2 weeks may be very difficult, right? Or the first 1 month may be very difficult. Please don't lose hope. Please don't think this is not something that I can do. Please don't blame yourself for everything that's going wrong, right? Give yourself that time. See the big picture. How are you progressing? If there's certain smaller things that are going wrong, it's okay, right? Over a period of time, they'll get set right. If some things at home are left unattended, it is okay. You're going to come back and attend to it later. Right? So don't keep blaming yourself. Look at the big picture and take control of what you have to do. Secondly, as Jaya also said, please upskill yourself. A lot of time, one of the questions that all of you asked was, how do I meet expectations at work, right? And what is the expectation? First, let's be clear what that expectation is going to be. That expectation is that whatever task is given to you, you're delivering on those tasks, right? That's the most important expectations. And trust me, once you do that, all of the peripheral expectations are not that important. Okay, but for you to do that, you have to be very good at your task. You have to, so if you means upskilling by attending these courses that Aspire for Her is coming up with, or getting onto any other web-based learning course, upskilling yourself, please upskill yourself every day. Right? That's going to be very, very critical. There are no excuses for not doing your job well. And that's the only thing you have to do when you get back to work. Right? So learn how to do it and deliver that with focus. That's the only expectation from you. And I'm sure, confident that all of you, if you kind of do it, you will make mistakes. It's not like on day one, you do everything right. I remember when I first joined workforce, first 6 months, maybe I just made mistakes. I was just learning. But once that period is over, please be prepared to, put accelerator on your pedal and, run. That is going to be very important. And the fourth thing is, please don't get overwhelmed, right? Sometimes, When you get up in the morning, we are already running in your mind. Oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And while each of these tasks may be small, because you're so overwhelmed in your mind, you are never able to focus on anything and do. To take a deep breath, sit down, write it down if required in terms of what are the 5 things or 10 things that is, causing me so much trouble, and then start attacking it one by one. Don't get so overwhelmed in your mind, because once you get overwhelmed, you will start making mistakes, you will start faltering, you lose your confidence. Please check your emotions. Whenever you believe you're getting overwhelmed, just take a sip of water and sit down, and then write it down as to what are those things that you need to do, and then focus on the top ones and do it. Most importantly, realign your priorities and environment. Please build your circle of friends, your family members who motivate you, right? As you get back to this journey, let me tell you with personal experience, out of maybe 70% of people will tell you, is it really necessary? Can you do it? 30% of people will tell you, yes, please go ahead. We are there to support you. Go ahead and do it, right? Make that 30% your circle. Because last thing you want is demotivation. Last thing you want is somebody to tell you that you can't do it. Right? So please realign your circle. Please don't have any negativity at workplace or at home. And don't approach this entire thing with negativity. It's okay, you've taken a break. It's okay. A lot of us have to go through life. Life happens, and all of us take breaks, right? It's okay, perfectly okay for you had to have taken that break. Don't approach your job with that guilt factor saying, oh, I should have taken a break and hence I will not be able to, do this. It's perfectly okay. Don't feel guilty. Go with confidence into this corporate world. And trust me, in a matter of 6 months, you will be a pro at managing both. And last but not the least, please have some time for yourself, be it fitness, being sitting down and sipping that cup of coffee, reading the newspaper. Build that into your calendar, right? Unless you are happy doing what you're doing, you're always going to be overwhelmed and nobody's going to be happy at it. So don't forget to prioritize yourself and your fitness. Please build in those long walks if you're not able to manage any other form of fitness. Focus on yoga, focus on your nutrition. Don't skip meals, don't skip breakfast, or whatever, however your diet schedule is. Please focus on your fitness. Unless you are fit, you are not going to be able to manage work and home, right? It's you have to be fit. That's fundamental. You have to be fit to be able to manage all everything, both mentally and physically. So please enroll on the fitness schedule. If nothing else, please go for a walk in the morning or in the evening after dinner. Spend those 20 minutes walking, and that will be, help you build a good health in the long run. So we all keep saying, it's a question, can you have it all? And I know, Ronnie even said, you can't have it. You can have it all, but just that you cannot have it all at the same time, right? It's not like on the same day, everything will be done. As I said, the scales will keep differing, right? One day work will take more focus, other day family will take more focus. It will keep changing. And that's the integration that you need to maintain. Trust me, you can have it all. It's just that you need to be mentally prepared that everything can't happen together. Now, this is my focus. After some time, my focus will change. But in my lifespan, over a period of years, I will be able to manage it all. Right. So this is all that I had. So we can, I hope some of these techniques will help you, manage your time. And we can now jump onto your questions, and more than happy to, kind of understand what you learned, what are your doubts, and please feel free to ask me any question. That's perfectly okay. Or share your thoughts also if you want to gently do that. More than happy to answer and help.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
May I speak?
Yes. Who's this?
Hi, this is Namita. May I speak? Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Namita.
Yep. Hi, Aruna. Thank you so much for the super session. Okay. My question to you is, I have worked in an organization, in an IT company, which was a very male-driven organization. Okay, and this was prior to taking a break. And the mindset over there was that women don't matter. Though it was not openly said, there was those subtle things. A prime example of this is 4 or 5 hours in the day, the systems would be down. Okay, and we were expected to wait until office until 9:30 almost every single day. And the culture was this: the men would come to work in the morning, they would have their, chai session, the smoke session, and they would waste 2 or 3 hours of their time. Okay, work would happen after 5 in the evening. and it will go on until 10 in the night. Also, for the reason that this IT company provided free dinners, and most of them were bachelor. Okay, Saturdays, even though it was Saturday, was a non-working day, we were expected to report to office, even though systems would be down. And there was, and this is despite of the fact that our super boss was a woman, she didn't care as long as the work got done. How do you address a toxic work culture like this?
Okay. So Namita, I think a lot of what you said, I was nodding and smiling because I've been through some of these situations in the past, right? I think you're right. I think a lot of people, because for those dinners and because there's traffic, you don't want to leave on time. You're still sitting there until 8:39. I think these are common occurrences in workplace, and you'll still find it. Trust me, even after you go back from work, there may be a lot of occasions, a lot of corporates where you find this, right? The key for you to say is that first and foremost, set your, this is how you're going to work, right? You can stretch when there is an actual requirement on a project, right? There may be few hours you have to stretch because there's a deadline, there's a customer deadline, etc. It is okay, but please, please act in a manner that your time matters to you, right? And thereby people will start reciprocating. A lot of times people may not reciprocate, but very clearly communicate to your team members that this is how you're going to function. But within those 8 hours of work that I'm here, I will give my best. Right? I mean, honestly, if it's a situation where you're having these IT shutdowns back and time and again, and it's, through the year, and obviously you need to relook at what workplace you're working at, to be very honest. Correct. I think because the culture of a workplace is very, very critical for you to sustain working, and that have across levels, even at even after having 20 years, it's very, very important for me. Right. So therefore, obviously choose your organization with care, the way you're going to go back and work. Most of the organizations today, larger ones at least, have this focus on enabling women to come back to work, right? Or having more women in the workplace. So they are also recognizing, and in fact, the current generation, if I may call the Gen Z, or the people who are just coming into workforce, right? They are very clear. I see that because I have a vibrant team. I have team members who are just starting off. I have experienced team members. The people who are coming in today are very clear that I don't want to be spending my life at work, right? And hence you may see some change when you go back to work now, because generally the environment compared to when I started off, say 20 years back, even 10 years back, when everybody life was just work, work and work, today people want to do other things. So, trust me, but when I say that you may see a different culture in most of the organizations today, if not all, because even men want to go back home at work on time today to do other things, if not household work. But there will always be some people who will, your bosses may continue to stay late. Set your priorities very clearly, saying that I'm going to work in this manner. These 8 hours, I'm going to deliver my best. 95% of the organizations will accept it. 5%, if they don't accept, that's not the organization for you. Trust me.
Correct. See, because this predominantly happened with us during the 2008-2009 recession. And mind you, this is a big IT company globally present. Okay. Yeah. But the work culture was so toxic, you were just made to feel grateful that you still had a job. Yeah. Okay. Take it or leave it. And and some females who were there, they had accepted this as the work culture, because in a team, if you have 10 people, there are just 3 women. Okay. Yeah. You be the only one saying, I don't want to work after a certain cutoff. So, but then I think you're completely right. You need to also ask that very important question: what is your work culture like? Because on paper, it's we work 9:30 to 5:30 Fridays, okay, and the rest is just unpaid cheap labor.
Yeah. So one thing I'll tell you, Nimita, please, you may have to be open for some hours of extra work, depending on your project, right? But be very clear in your mind, when it is work, I'm going to be there full time until I deliver my work. But I'm not in for these smoke sessions, these extended hours of chat, dinner, and you waste 1 hour dinner, etc. And if even if you are the only woman and you're walking out and people look at you when you're walking out, etc., it's okay, right? Over a period of time, they'll get used to it because you're doing the right thing. So please do that. Once you deliver, everybody knows that you are good at your work, right? That's, as I said, that's the most important thing. You have to be very good at what you do. Once you're good at what you do, all other things people will ignore, or they will be bound to ignore over a period of time if they like it or not.
Correct. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you. I can see a question. If we could just take, sorry.
Sorry, actually. Aruna, I've got the same question like Namita. So the organization where I was working recently, all
If you
men only.
could just tell your
Oh,
name and
okay. Okay, this is Pallavi. I'm from Bangalore. So actually, in my organization, I was the only girl. Well, not the only girl means like in my team, two teams I've worked in, both the teams I'm the only girl. But the expectation is like work till the late evening and giving the I have to do my work. I know that I will finish my work if they give the code in time. If they're not ready to give the code in time, I'll not be able to finish it. How do I handle that kind of situation? I was getting a call from my company as well as my client company. Everywhere I was getting pressurized to work for the late hours, but I don't see it as ethical. From morning till evening, we will sit idle. From 4:30 onwards, they'll give the code. So how do I handle this kind of situation?
Sure. So yeah, hi Pallavi. Yeah, this is a very pertinent question. It happens even today when we do our people surveys today, and it happens in some pockets, across all workplaces that when I talk to my friends, etc. It keeps happening. I think the key to is, as I said, is communication to your bosses, to your people whom you report to say, okay, this is what it is. Once in a while is okay. If there's an urgent task, there is an urgent, project that's come up, etc. That's okay. But if it is happening in a recurring manner, then I think you need to go back and communicate and talk to people and say that, sorry, but this will not work for me. Please give the whatever I had to do. I believe in having a schedule for myself and a plan for myself. Please give me that work ahead of time. I mean, basically not ahead of time, be on time, say in the morning, and I'll be happy to deliver. As I said, be open for a few emergency tasks because sometimes your customer may not be happy. There's an urgency, it will come up. Not every time your manager wants to do it. But it's always, but generally go back and say, if it's happening in a recurring manner, go back and say, this does not work for me, right? And I would want, no organization will tell you this doesn't work for you, please go, right? Nobody's going to tell you that. So please be very clear and have that open communication in a very humble manner, but just make your priorities clear, saying this is how I can work. And as long as I'm given the work on time, I'm more than happy to finish it. So start communicating it. I think today a lot of organizations have this, a lot of techniques with the HR being involved and things like that, if it's happening in a reckoning manner. But go up and speak for yourself and define your priorities. I think that's very, very clear. There's no right answer to it, Pallavi. It may happen again. But it's right as you start off, please be upfront to communicate to your reporting manager that this is how I'm going to work. This has been my past experience, but please don't take it as something that I don't want to work. I will not be extending, but I would prefer if the work is given to me at a defined schedule during the day.
Thank you, Runa.
So I see a couple of questions in the chat. One is from Seema Bhatnagar. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question, Seema?
Pallavi, as you said, na, delegate your things. Delegate your things. Don't do everything on your own. So kindly let me know professionally and personally how to delegate the thing, because I had the experience. People don't. In my team, I would delegate the things, but what they used to do is they keep on doing they keep on sitting with the task and they were not doing it, and they were creating the scene as if I am thrusting upon them to do the things. So this is the problem I have faced. What then in that situation, what I used to do, because I don't want to present a sorry figure before my managers. So instead of confronting with them, even I politely used to deal with them. We kindly do, because there is a deadline to it. But irrespective of, they don't do, and I have to do the things on my own. And I did it, and I don't have any complaint with it. But yes, for that I have to devote extra time, extra pressure. Apart from that, my mind also got distracted because my teams were not cooperating. So I have faced this kind of issue. Kindly let me know.
Sure. Yeah, right, Seema. And in fact, a lot of these things keep coming up to, over a period of time, I've faced some of these as well. So first is, first and foremost is to build your right team. I know a lot of times it's not in our control, because if you're in an organization where you are put in as a manager, a set of people reporting to that role, right? So you don't get to pick the people to work with. But I think I'll tell you what has worked for me and continues to work is that make the team accountable. I know, and when I'm saying this, I'm not saying this simply for jargons, right? I know it's easy to say make them accountable, but if they don't respond, what do you do beyond a point, right? But have a set schedule. So when you start off with the project, say, okay, this is my deadline. This is what I want to achieve. This is when we have to give it to our boss. Like say, 30th of August, we need to give it to our boss. Keep some schedule, keep some buffer in between, right? So if you're saying 30th, keep your deadline as 29th, right? And build in that buffer so that you have 2 extra days to do if there are some quality issues on the delivery that comes to you and things like that. So build in a buffer. Secondly, put in a very clear chart, right? And today you have these various groups that can be formed on your Zoom or Teams, etc. So do that and put that chart with clearly defined responsibilities for your team members. End of every day, you please put saying whether the person has met the target for that day or not. And whoever is not meeting after 1 or 2 things, get everybody to update that at the end of the day, or you get on a short call with your team members before you close your day for like say around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, take a status update. And if somebody is, again and again defaulting, that will come out in the red very clearly in your chart. And trust me, that works subconsciously on a lot of people because people don't want to be seen in the red. Right? So 80% of the times people turn around and do their work properly. But for the 20% who continue to not do it, please raise that chapter, talk to them very clearly that this is the final warning we're giving you. We want you to deliver and explain to them why it's important for you as a team to achieve it. A lot of times, helping them understand the common objective, saying, unless we do this project well, we are not going to get that incentive. We are not going to get that additional bonus. We are not going to get, our promotions. So unless we deliver as a team, we're not going to be successful. And that doesn't help anyone in the team, right? And make one person accountable for the other. So for example, pair 2 people together, right? Person A helps a person B and similarly vice versa. So if your team model is such that you can pair people together and say that you will make sure that she is able to do the work and help her vis-a-vis the other way around, right? So do that. So maybe the other person will also not want to be in the red if that, if his counterpart is not doing the work right. So these are some techniques. Once again, there are no right answers to it, but some I've seen most often the not that once you have a schedule, take a daily status update, and you constantly show people on red, people do wake up and start doing things at least for 80% of the time.
But unfortunately, I had a team which not at all cooperated. And in fact, they had reported to the HR, and the HR also called me and very politely told me, Seema, you are absolutely very good in a very short span of time. You have picked up everything. But see, people here are like this only. I'm telling you in one-to-one conversation, I'm telling you it personally, people here are like this only. So you have to deal with them. In fact, when I joined the organization, it was a lunch break, and the people used to go for lunch for 2 hours or 3 hours. Since I am from a very disciplined background, so I wonder that this is the working time. So going for lunch for 2 to 3 hours, it's like anything. I asked them. So they reported to the HR. She is asking my lunchtime, and HR called me and they said, please don't ask them. Things are here like this only. So I suffered. I felt suffocated. Then I gave up on them.
That's a toxic work culture, Seema. So I think, as I said, in the case of Namita, if it's a very toxic work culture, you really need to decide where you need to work. I know a lot of times we don't have the ability to kind of, quit work and go immediately because we have things. But I think if this is constantly happening, and if HR is also telling you that this is how it is, and if people need to have 2 to 3 hours of lunch break, then obviously you need to relook at where you work. Seriously.
Yeah, this is what I have done. This is what I have done because after all, I was suffering. I was sincere in my things, and just because of my team, I don't want to suffer myself.
True. That will continue to happen to some extent. Be open to that. Not everybody is going to be as efficient as you. That is bound to happen. Even today, a lot of occasions this happens. But build in that buffer for yourself, right? Or negotiate that longer time period with your boss to say, I will need 10 days to deliver this because my team normally takes so much of time. So do that. Mostly it should done, but for other instances that you mentioned, I think you need to really relook at either the team you're working for or the organization.
Thank you.
And build a personal rapport. Sometimes that helps. When team members don't want to put you in trouble, right? They don't want you to get, like, say, having a bad conversation with your boss, etc. They will work in a manner which doesn't put you down, which, when the situations don't put you down. So try and build that personal rapport, depending upon, of course, how your team is. and build that personal rapport with them, show them the objective, so that as a team, they would feel bad about letting you down. I think that's another thing that works.
I tried to go out with them, and I tried to build personal relationship with them. Ki maybe they are not able to know much about me. Even then, outside of the office, outside work, they are very sweet to me. But when it comes on the table, working front, they were not at all.
Understood.
Thank you so much, Seema. I think we'll take one or two more questions in the interest of time, please, if that's all right. I think I can see a question from Rituparna. Rituparna, would you like to, unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi, my name is Parna. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, Rituparna,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Hi, Aruna, and hi, Preeti, and other coordinators. So my question is, I'm in a career break for 10 years, and it was a conscious career break because in Bangalore, we stay as a nuclear family, and to bring up the kids, I have taken this break. Now, what happens is when I have started job search, seeing my skills, I get a lot of calls. But whenever they know that I have 10 years of break, they're like, oh, okay, we have to talk to our team whether the interview can be scheduled or not. So this is happening multiple times, and I tried to convince them that call me for an interview and see whether I'm capable, whether I'm competent enough. But in the beginning, only seeing my career graph, they are thinking it is I am incompetent. So how do I change this, negative mindset? I would say it is a societal mindset. How do I change it to a positive mindset and make them understand and value my decision?
Sure. So I know it's a difficult task. Generally, when you look at a resume, it's a big people, always doubt whether the person will be upskilled, right? So I think one thing that you could do, Rituparna, is that, maybe, um, kind of, I don't know, depending upon how you've done the courses, what kind of recent upskilling you've done, right? So I know a lot of people, HRs will still tell you that, you have a break, I have to go back and check. But the way you talk, understand one thing, the HR is also under a lot of pressure to fulfill the recruitment positions. Okay, and I see that happening now. So they are not going to reject a candidate while there may be specific expectations. When you talk to them, first add in a little bit dose of confidence when you talk to them, right? While you may say that you have a 10-year break, which is also evident from your resume, I think you can talk about what all you've done to upskill, right? So you've done this course today, I'm aware of these techniques. Another aspect is maybe you can write certain posts on LinkedIn, etc., to show your expertise on those topics, right? People who actually select your resumes also do some amount of background search, and when they see that you've actually written and you have the expertise, I think that is another aspect that you could do. Third thing is, if you could get a referral from your past employer or your somebody who attended a course, that would also be important, good, because people will know that you are, you are good at what you're doing. So have very good communication skills, because the first impression matters. Secondly, upskill yourself with recent courses, etc., and be able to articulate it in a manner that you talk less about your break and more about your knowledge and your technical expertise. And build a social media presence where you can actually write articles, talk about your expertise on the topic. I think these are three things I would suggest. I know it's not an easy thing. I've seen that in my own family, where my sisters got back to work after 10 to 13 years. It was not an easy work for sure. We had similar questions being asked. It's not easy at all. But I think some of these platforms extra give you that opportunity to, where organizations are actually coming out to get people back to work. I think some of these programs are the best to opt into, at least to get into the corporate, and then you can, find your way up. But a lot of it matters on the conversation. So be very strong with what you're doing and the way you have structured your resume. I think don't just simply call it a break. Say what you actually learned in those 10 years, right? So maybe restructure your resume so that when somebody looks at it, oh, okay, wow, she's a different candidate. So that's the.
Yes. Hello. Okay. Thanks, Aruna.
Sure.
Hello. May I also add something to this question? Hello.
Yeah, who's this? We are actually running short of time, but we can just quickly.
Sure. May I also add to this particular answer that Rituparna had? because I have faced the same problem. I initially realized when you put your CV on places like Naukri and Monster, okay, a lot of these recruiters who call up, okay, don't even go through the CV. They just do a keyword search. So the first question I ask them is, have you gone through the CV? Okay, or have you done a keyword search? That gives you a very good idea if they are serious or not. And I tell them, look, I have taken a break. Okay, so please first check with the HR of the company if they are hiring women returnees, and then come back to me, because I've had an
Correct.
instance where I have gone for an interview and the HR told me, ma'am, we love your CV, but you are overqualified for this job. And we had told our
Okay.
requirement clearly to the recruiter. So check with the recruiter. Okay, or there's nothing wrong in asking the HR saying, I have taken a break, I have a returnee, have that 2 minute conversation with the HR. It saves you a lot of time, efforts, and money, especially if you have to go to the physical interviews. So I hope that helps, Rituparna.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Namita.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Namita. We'll just take one last question from Deepti Sahu. Deepti, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Or you're on mute. If you could unmute yourself, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I
Hi.
was into job from last 14 years back. Actually, the break is for 14 years. But what I faced towards the end of the career, the last time, is that I was into one single project and it was continuing, and it was a big project, a long project. And meanwhile, whoever joined with me, all my colleagues who were along with me at the time of joining, they all left one by one the project and they shifted to different projects. But however, since I am a little like not very mixing person, like I mix with people, but not so much like taking long breaks and chatting for a long time, not like that. Mostly I will be into my work, and then sometimes I will say hi, hello, this formality type of thing. And sometimes with very few people, I would be very close. So what happened is the management changed, and uh, actually I saw, but I didn't take note of it, that some of the senior people left the project, even all my friends. But then suddenly one time came when I got to know that suddenly the whole management was little bit like I felt so. Was I don't know whether it was true or my own perception. It was like everyone was little bit against me. I felt so. So is it because I did not socialize too much with everyone so that somebody will come up and tell, see what is going on inside the management, what talks are going on? And so is it because of lack of socialization, or what it could be? That's what my question is.
So yeah, so Deepti, I think socializing at work is always a big question, and I mean, to be honest, I am also not a person who socializes too much, in the sense I don't spend hours discussing or talking about things. What I have shorter lunch breaks so that I'm able to finish work and get back home, things like that. But that hasn't impacted me over years, right? Because one, while I'm at work with my all my colleagues, I have a very good rapport with my team members, especially. And there is, and they know that as long as you are, as I said earlier, as long as your work output is very good, people will think twice before taking you out of the job, irrespective of how you are, right? So that's the most important thing. Is socializing important? Yes, it is important, as I said, to build your circle of trust. It may not, there's a lot of difference between networking and gossiping, right? We often confuse the both. Networking is always being able to have those people whom you can talk to, get to know a little bit. You don't have to sit and gossip about what's happening on the management, what's happening in everyone, who is doing well, not doing well. But you should be aware of what's happening in something. So there you need to build those 4 or 5 people who will feed you with that information and act as and talk about what you're doing well as well. I think that's equally important in a corporate world, right? You can't just be a silent worker. That doesn't help. You have to be able to talk about your accomplishments. Your team or your group of people should know what you're doing. I think that's extremely critical. So those 2 aspects are important. You don't have to spend 2-3 hours of gossiping with people. That's not required, but you should definitely have socialized a little bit so that you know. You can always pick up the phone and ask someone what's going on. Is there a challenge? What do you hear about me? So things like that, and then filter out what you hear about yourself, what you otherwise, and say and take only what is right. Don't take everything that you hear. Uh, so networking is important, socializing or stroke gossiping, if you may call it that way, that is not important, but networking to some extent, building some networks across people is very crucial for you to get recognized at work. But trust me, you will never be thrown to you because you're not socialized. It would purely be, as long as you're good at your work, you're very good at your work, you will not, you shouldn't face that problem.
Like when the previous management was there, whatever I have done, like I'm not so vocal about it. Also, I don't write emails to highlight that, see, I've done this, and this. Like automatically what was being recorded, that is being recorded. It's not like from my side, I will highlight something. It's like I was like that. But thing is that when previous management was there, I got very good ratings. I got many appreciations. I got many awards. But suddenly, within few months, everything changed. While my mode of working was the same, like management changed, and so that is what I landed up in a place where I was left to think of what went wrong here.
Yeah.
That is
So that will happen. You will need to have a game plan. See, when things like transitions like this happen, as I said, if you simply sit back and work silently on a work, in your work desk, that is not really sufficient. People have to. You don't have to unnecessarily, beat drums and talk about everything that you're doing, but it is very important for people to acknowledge the work, the output that you're bringing in, the value that you add. So to that extent, so whenever there are these major changes, a management change, etc., you need to have a game plan. You need to have a plan saying how will you meet them, how will you make sure they know what work you're doing. All of these are being part of corporate life. You can't be naive and still be part of corporate life. There are a little bit of these things that you should very carefully navigate. I think that's what we call navigating corporate life, because these are things that you learn when you go to corporate. It's not like our house or home, right? So you have to know that a little bit, Deepti. You have to talk about your accomplishments. You have to do a little bit of your own self-talk until people start recognizing. And whenever there are these changes, be politically astute to be able to navigate these changes. That is going to be critical for you to succeed at work.
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think in the interest of time, we will close the session, and thank you everyone for putting forth your questions. In case
Thank
you
you.
still have any more questions, you can send across an email to us at the Aspire for her email ID, which I have shared. We will try and get back to you as soon as possible. We just have a couple of poll questions. So requesting Farisha to launch the next poll, just to get to know from you how the session was, what were your key takeaways. We just wanted to know, do you set aside any time for yourself, every week? Some amount of time, whatever it is, just some me time, right? Okay. Requesting everybody to participate so that we get a sense of, and what are the key takeaways from this session. So this is like an open-ended, you can put down your thoughts. Okay, there are still, okay. Kindly please respond. We'll just keep it open for a couple of seconds and we'll close.
Actually quite happy to see a lot of you actually saying you set time aside for yourself. That's very, very important. Please don't stop doing that when, once you get back to work.
And requesting those who are not, please do make sure that you set aside time for yourself. That is very, very important. And I'm sure you heard Aruna say that enough during the session.
Yeah. And
sorry, go ahead.
I was saying at any point of time, if any of you have any questions, even later as you go back to work, I think feel free to reach out on LinkedIn or through Aspire for her platform. We'll be more than happy to help you all. One thing I really want to see is get women get back to work. That's something I'm personally passionate about. So at any point of time, any help, please feel free to reach out.
So I think, Farisha, we can close the poll. Thank you. Thank you everyone for responding. And thank you so much, Aruna, for taking out time to, give this very insightful session. A lot of takeaways and insights. something that I personally picked up is having dedicated time slots during the day for checking emails and checking WhatsApp. Like you mentioned, the pop-ups on WhatsApp and emails is quite distracting, and it does impact productivity. So that's something that I have personally picked up for sure. And another thing that you mentioned was multitasking. So we as women, we tend to multitask.
Yeah.
I think, and we are naturally supposedly good
Good at
multitaskers,
multitasking.
which, like you mentioned, is not something that we necessarily need to be very proud about. So, actually having a focused, task to kind of finish and then move to the next task is obviously the, better way to kind of manage time better and prioritize. So thank you so much for such an insightful session. And I'm sure everybody had a lot of takeaways, and it's great to see that a lot of you are taking out time for yourself every week, giving that time. And hopefully, a lot of your questions have got answered, and you've got those insights in terms of how can you seamlessly transition into work. It does not happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of practice. So please make sure you, have all your notes handy, and you are going to implement them. And thank you all for joining in. We will join you soon on 31st of August with our next session. Thank you so much, Aruna, and look forward to more sessions with you. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Preeti. Thank you,
Thanks.
Preeti, and thanks everyone, and all the very best in your job search. I hope all of you will be very successful in life. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.